Can you please call roll?
Commissioner Alchek. Commissioner Downing. Vice Chair Fine. Commissioner Gardias. Commissioner Michael. Commissioner Rosenblum.
Present.
Chair Tanaka. 6 present.
Okay, so at this point in the meeting, if there's any members of the public who wish to speak on an item that's not currently on the agenda, please go to the back, fill out one of those cards, hand it to someone here at the desk, and we'll give you some time to speak. I assume we have no cards, so we're going to close the public hearing and go to the director's report.
Thank you, Chair Tanaka and Commissioners. Hillary Gittleman, the director, and I wanted to come this evening and to give you a briefing on the Council's action the other night about the office annual limit idea, and to also tell you about some upcoming events at the Council and in the community related to planning issues. So first on the idea of an annual limit on office and research and development space. As I'm sure you are aware, the Council had this agenda on their agenda previously in February 9th, I think, March 2nd, and then just this past Monday. And on Monday, they got to the point where, there were motions that proceeded to be amended and revised, and they ended up giving direction to staff on a number of different approaches to the issue of moderating the pace of growth in employment. So if you're reading the newspapers, I'm sure you know part of the story, which is that the primary motion directed staff to return to council with an interim ordinance, so an ordinance that would be in effect for the period between its adoption and adoption of the comprehensive plan update, or 2 years, whichever is less. And that interim ordinance would put an annual limit on the amount of office space that could be approved in downtown California Avenue and the El Camino corridor. The motion specifically exempted other areas of the city where office development could occur, including the research park. There was also an expectation that this idea, while it would be in place as an interim basis, it would sort of be tested, and that if we liked it, it could be something that would be incorporated into the comprehensive plan update. So I think the council's expectation is that we would analyze the potential impacts and benefits of this strategy on a long-term basis in the environmental impact report and the fiscal study that we're doing for the comprehensive plan update. The council was very clear that in imposing this idea of an annual limit, their idea was that projects would have to compete and be scored based on criteria, and they asked staff to come back to them with some further details for their review before moving forward with drafting an ordinance. Some of the details that were left undefined have to do with the process, just exactly how would this annual limit be administered, and the question of pipeline projects. How would imposition of an annual limit on an interim short-term basis affect projects that are pending, applications that are pending in the department? So those two questions will require additional council direction when we come back. And we're still looking at our schedules to figure out exactly when that will be. We want to get back to council definitely by the middle of May. They went on to ask for a few other things in the course of the discussion. Of interest potentially to the commission would be the idea that we also analyze in the comprehensive plan update an approach to addressing not the amount of development that would occur in the life of the comprehensive plan, but the impacts of that development. So this was referred to in the motion as a no net new car trips or something like that. I don't have the exact wording, but that was an idea that had support to go forward into the analysis. And there were a number of other things that I don't have a good set of notes in front of me, but those are kind of the highlights. And we got a few other pieces of direction along the way, and we'll be putting all of that into a staff report and coming back to the council as soon as we can. I should also indicate that we are planning to go back to the council in response to their request for an interim ordinance related to ground floor retail preservation on April 6th. So the staff report for that will be public this week. We had the benefit of being able to use a lot of analysis and work that was done when this very same issue was debated in 2001. So it's a detailed staff report. I invite you to take a look at it, and then if you're interested to send a representative to that meeting on April 6th. I think it's going to be really interesting. Some of the very same questions are in play. You know, what about the pipeline projects? Exactly how long, interim ordinance do they anticipate? And then while the interim ordinance is in effect, what kind of planning do they want us to undertake about retail preservation? And one of the suggestions that staff makes, that we make in the staff report, is actually that the council delegate to the commission some further investigation of the retail issues once the interim ordinance is in place. So I'd be happy to answer questions on either of those things. I also brought with me, maybe after some questions, a little video, 3-minute video about the upcoming Comprehensive Plan Summit that I would love to share with you. But first, do you have any questions that I can answer about the office cap or the retail thing? I can't get into the policy issues, but I can certainly elaborate on what we heard as council's direction.
Commissioner Rosolo?
Sorry, I might have missed this. When do you expect to come back, particularly with the process for implementing things like a citywide design contest, for example? How this will be implemented, whatever exemptions there are. Does staff have an estimate for when they'll come back with the recommendation?
So one of the things that the council wants us to come back with on the idea of the office annual limit is some suggestions about what this process would look like, how the program would be administered. So we're going to have to come up with that in pretty short order and put together some ideas and alternatives for the council's consideration, again, hopefully by mid-May at the latest.
Commissioner Alchuk?
Is the PTC playing a role in that sort of process, or are we going to facilitate any component of that?
Well, at this point, I've been talking about getting council direction on interim ordinances. I expect the council will also, weigh in on whether they want those to go through the Planning Commission, or they want to use the provision in state law where they make emergency findings and simply adopt it at the council level. Whatever they do on the interim ordinance, the subsequent ordinance, the kind of long-term programming, will have to come to the Planning Commission. You'll have an opportunity to weigh in on those ideas.
That's the part of the comprehensive plan edition as well, or?
Either concurrent with the comprehensive plan process or as part of it, yes.
Could be an interesting study session topic.
Okay, well, I'd love to show you this 3-minute video.
The Palo Alto Comprehensive Plan is a blueprint for the future of our community. The Comp Plan, as it's known, describes a vision for Palo Alto, rooted in our shared values. From that common ground, it establishes public policy to guide important decisions, such as where new housing should be located, what character Palo Alto's commercial district should take on, which public works projects should be prioritized, and how growth is managed. The current Comp Plan, Embracing the New Century, was completed with extensive input from the community and adopted in 1998. It's a bold plan, built on 7 key themes: building community and neighborhoods, maintaining and enhancing community character, reducing reliance on the automobile, meeting housing supply challenges, protecting and repairing natural features, meeting residential and commercial needs, and providing responsive governance and regional leadership. While many of these major themes still ring true today, and there are large sections of the Comp Plan that don't require any modification, times have changed since the Comp Plan was last updated. New challenges have arisen, and new solutions are needed to address them. We need to review the themes and make sure our plan remains contemporary. Palo Alto and the Silicon Valley region continue to grow, and job growth is outpacing population growth. As a result, housing costs are rising rapidly, along with traffic congestion on our roadways. And as a community, we're getting older. This is our chance to come together, to refocus the comp plan and address these and other critical issues we face as a community. Join us on Saturday, May 30th for a once-in-a-generation event, our Palo Alto 2030, The Summit. It's a meeting of Palo Alto residents, businesses, neighborhood leaders, elected officials, and others who care about the future of Palo Alto. Come and share your ideas about growth management strategies and the character of neighborhoods that are experiencing change. Discuss issues, opportunities, and solutions for housing and people. Weigh in on the transportation investments we need to make and the ways we can weave sustainability into the fabric of our everyday lives. The summit is also an opportunity to learn about related plans and ongoing city initiatives that complement and support the comp plan, and to sign up for follow-on work sessions after the summit, where community members will translate the raw ideas from the summit into policies and programs for our comp plan. Make sure your voice is heard now. Don't miss this chance to provide early input on the big ideas shaping the comp plan update. Register today at paloaltocomplan.org.
Thanks to those of you who have already notified Robin of your ability to attend the summit. We'll be providing more information as soon as we can on the agenda for the day, so citizens who are interested in coming can select those parts of the program that they're most interested in, and everyone will have a better idea of how the day will be structured. But it's going to be very exciting. We're looking forward to it very much, and we have already had quite a positive response. A lot of people registering for this thing, so it should be a really, really fun event at the Mitchell Park Community Center. So with that, I'll conclude the director's report and hand the meeting over to Jonathan.
So Jonathan, do you want to kick off the public hearing for 4261 El Camino? And also, if there's members of the public who wish to speak on this item, just fill out a card in the back and hand it to someone here in the front. Thanks.
Thank you, and good evening. I'm Sheldon Hussing, consultant planner. And the public hearing item is a city-sponsored project as a site and design review and conditional use permit for the construction of a bicycle and pedestrian path on a public access easement on a panhandle parcel at the rear of Dinah's Hotel property to provide access from Wilkie Way to Summerhill Homes, Redwood Gate neighborhood. The project includes various landscaping treatments and decorative elements with outdoor seating areas and lighting for both pedestrian and bicycle use. So just a little bit of the project overview. The project's been the subject of a lot of dialogue over the past few years. It started with the Redwood Gate development, acknowledging the need for a connection between the Charleston Meadows neighborhood and the Redwood Gate neighborhood. The rezoning of a hotel site, the city obtaining a public access easement over the project site, and involved into including 2 community meetings regarding the project and design of the project. As a result, the city is prepared to obtain approvals to implement the project. The project site was rezoned to service commercial landscape and site and design combined district in 2009. This was done to allow opportunities for the public to get involved with the public review process for the project. The site and design review requires recommendations from the commission and the architectural review board to the city council. The pedestrian bicycle pathways within landscaping combined districts require a conditional use permit, which is a concurrent application with the site and design review. This also requires recommendation from the commission to the council. And the ARB will look at the details of the architectural components and make their recommendation to the council. So ultimately, this will float to the city council for their final decision. More specifically about the site and design review, this includes findings that need to be made. These findings indicate that the project will be compatible with the surrounding uses, will not cause harm or disruptions, will be designed with the environment in mind, and will be consistent with the goals and policies of the city's comprehensive plan. Staff has indicated that these findings can be made in the affirmative. As with the site and design review, findings need to also be made for the conditional use permit. The The project will not be detrimental to the public health and general welfare and will be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and zoning code. Staff has also indicated that these findings can be made in the affirmative. The project is located along Wilkie Way, which is a proposed bicycle corridor. The path would connect with the Charleston Meadows neighborhood to the Redwood Gate neighborhood, which includes some small open space areas that are open to the public and is adjacent to the El Camino Real commercial corridor. The site plan includes approximately 100-foot path that is 10 feet in width and narrows down to 5 feet as it connects with the Redwood Gate community. The site will include trees and drought-tolerant plantings along with sitting boulders and a bench, and the path will be lit with bollard lighting. There are two key issues with this project. One is aesthetics and compatibility, and the other is with parking. So regarding aesthetics and compatibility, at present the site is unimproved, and in some ways, given its surroundings, is kind of out of place. So what this project does is it proposes to frame the site in a way that creates transitions between the densities and connects the two neighborhoods. The project will also improve the aesthetics of the site with drought-tolerant plantings that are consistent with the surrounding and a lighted pathway that will not be intrusive. Regarding parking, the city conducted 2 neighborhood meetings, and from the feedback that staff got at those, a parking occupancy study was prepared. The report concluded that there was heavy bicycle and pedestrian use on Wilkie Way. There was adequate on-street parking within the Redwood Gate community, and the construction of the path will not change the existing parking conditions. Thus far, we've received 2 written comments regarding the project, and those were very positive. So with that, the recommended motion is to recommend the City Council approve the site and design review and the conditional use permit to allow the construction of the proposed pedestrian bicycle pathway and associated site improvements upon the findings and conditions of approval contained in the record of land use action. With that, that concludes my presentation. We do also have some other staff members from transportation here that can answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to first open this up to the public. I think we have one speaker card. Does Vice Chair want to read off the name?
Yes, we have one speaker, Linnea Wickstrom.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm here to urge your approval of this. I'm here to urge that you approve this permit. This is, I think the staff has pretty well covered it. This has been planning since Summerhill was in development, now called Redwood Gate, I understand. It's a nice park that Summerhill provided. They, with the city, decided to make this a public park. And they built the sidewalk for it that connects through to this proposed panhandle development. The city has done all the studies and held some additional meetings just on planning and design as well for what they were going to put there. Looks like very nice landscaping design. The Monroe Park Neighborhood Association that I represent would love to have public access to this public park. The only access now is up El Camino and in on a private street that has a public overlay through the Redwood Gate development. So we would very much like to be able to walk through our neighborhood, Charleston Meadows, and access this City of Palo Alto public park. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's any other members of the public that want to speak, you should submit a card. Otherwise, I will be closing the public hearing. Seeing no other cards, I will close the public hearing, and I'd like to move back to the commission. And what we're going to do is basically give every person a chance to talk about any questions, issues, and kind of what we'd like to try to do is rather than having just one shot to talk, I think what we're going to try to do is do it so that we can respond to each other's questions and issues. So we're going to set the clock for 1 minute each. Don't have to take up the whole minute, but if there's a question you have, you could ask that question, and there's going to be multiple chances to speak. So if you wish to speak, hit your lights. The first light I see is Commissioner Michael. Oh, okay, sorry. So are there any commissioners that have a question or wish to speak? Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to staff for that report. I really appreciated how there were the recommendations and the findings we need to meet for the CUP and the land use change. Just one question, more procedural than anything. One of the requirements is that we ensure that this permit is in accord with the comp plan. I was just wondering, does it have to be in accord with some certain number of policies or goals, or all of them, or is there some requirement or threshold there?
Thank you. Cara Silver, Senior Assistant City Attorney. This is a fairly common type of finding that you see in land use issues. Generally, what you're looking for is some general consistency with relevant comp plan policies. So in this case, you would look at the recreational aspects of the comprehensive plan and perhaps elements of bicycle connection and that type of thing, and make a determination as to whether this particular project is compatible.
Thank you.
Before I have Commissioner Alchek, I just want to acknowledge that Commissioner Gardias is also here. He came, I think, halfway through the report, I think. Commissioner Alchek.
Is staff aware of any objections to this proposal? Particularly if the answer is yes, could you summarize the objections, since we didn't hear from anybody in the community objecting to the proposal?
So the project was noticed in accordance with the Palo Alto's requirements. There have been no negative comments. They've all been positive. All the comments that regarded issues were prior to this application coming forward and were addressed with this current application.
Okay, are there any other questions or issues that we should discuss, or should we entertain a motion? Commissioner Gardias?
Just a quick question, right? So this has been recorded as a public access. Is there some time limit, or what's the legal status of this access? Can it change later on if there will be a development on this lot, or the status will be permanent from now on?
So the city did obtain a public access even over the property, and the property owner consented to that. And so it's for the life of that easement.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Michael?
So if this is the right time, I'd be willing to make a motion. I move that we recommend City Council approval of a site and design review and conditional use permit to allow the construction of the proposed pedestrian and bicycle pathway and associated site improvements based upon the findings and conditions of approval contained in the record of land use action.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Commissioner Michael, seconded by Commissioner Rosenblum. Does anyone have any discussion points? If so, hit your lights. Otherwise, we could take a vote. Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. So let's see. So let's close this item and let's move to the next item, which is approval of the minutes. Anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Excuse me, Chair?
Oh, yes.
There are no minutes because there was issues with the upload to the website at the last meeting, so I just got them back today.
Okay, great. Okay, so looking at future agenda items, we have the FCC Telecom meeting on April 8th. And one of the things I think staff is looking into perhaps is taking one of the items from our list of topics and perhaps having that as one of the agenda topics for next meeting. But I don't know if, I think staff is still looking into this, so we don't know quite yet, but that's something that we talked about perhaps. Commissioner Alchek?
You suggested last time that I asked this question. Would it be possible to glean our list so that any items on that list that have no support or that are supported by the commissioner who added the item only fall off the list in an effort to keep that list of items more concise and essentially more relevant, if you will.
Yeah, in general, I like the idea. I think we should do that. I think we have that, although we don't have it right now, we have that massive spreadsheet, piece of paper we got last time, and it has everything. I think we always keep that, but maybe what we should print here is just maybe the top 5 or so we don't have to have it so cluttered. I would also say that we don't have that big spreadsheet this time, but unless someone has something to change on it, you could tell the staff, I want to change my vote, so to speak, onto a different one. But I myself have nothing that's different. Commissioner Roosevelt.
Yeah, I have one quick update, and I'll ask staff for advice on this, which is one of the items that I had added was to keep a repository of data that would be used for both PTC and council decisions. And that was something that was suggested by council member, or now Vice Mayor Schmid, during our joint session. So I followed up with him, and he said he's very interested in us doing this. I'm meeting with him tomorrow, go through an initial list. And so my question for advice is, are other commissioners able to send their ideas to, say, Robin for inclusion in that list, and she could share with the group? And I can take the task of consolidating for Vice Mayor Schmid, or for him to go through and see if this matches his expectation. The expectation eventually will be that he would bring it to council as one of their priorities to hopefully get funding for staff to be able to go and get these metrics.
So you want commissioners to send particular data requests or metrics to Robin? Is that what the question was?
The ultimate objective is for someone to consolidate a list of the metrics that we would find most useful. And I have a starting list. It would be great to get input on that list. I'm wondering what the most Brown Act compliant way is of getting input into that list.
So what we can do is we can have staff send the list out to the commissioners, and then the individual commissioners can then just reply back without copying other commissioners. And would it be helpful to have that list go out before your meeting with Councilmember Schmidt?
I think this is, the purpose of the meeting is just to discuss the scope of the project, so it doesn't really matter.
Great.
I'll endeavor to send the list to Robin tomorrow, and then as we get more feedback, probably, eventually what would probably happen with this is it would go to council somehow about, are these the things we want to start tracking, and then who would actually do it.
Okay, so one request I have from staff is maybe if you could just have us, until we get this Google Doc things figured out, just have us, just print out that big sheet of paper for us, and we could always edit it if needed. But I assume no one else has edits to that sheet tonight, at least. Does anyone else have any updates? Otherwise, we're going to call this meeting to adjourn. Okay, we're done.